Israel's strikes on Iran's nuclear and military sites are a really big deal.
Let's talk about Israel and Iran, how we got here and why and who this is really for.
They know Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. That's the only reason they're comfortable attacking them.
I do not think people fully understand how dangerous this Iran-Israel war really is.
Hi guys, my name is Esther Daniel and you're welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking on a serious and heartbreaking topic, the rising conflict between Israel and Iran. A situation that is threatening millions of innocent lives, risking the weather war in the Middle East. But let's be clear, this is not just about nukes and strike, it's about power, history, and people who are paying the price. Let's unpack what is really happening.
Israel's strikes on Iran's nuclear and military sites are a really big deal. Here are 3 reasons why. First, Israel has been threatening to do this for a long time, saying Iran's nuclear program poses an existential threat to it. Now they've actually done it. The strikes hit locations across Iran, including in the capital Tehran and Natanz, which is Iran's main uranium enrichment site. Several senior military commanders and top nuclear scientists were also killed. For years, Israel has been trying to persuade other countries that taking out Iran's nuclear capability is the right approach. This was Netanyahu talking about it at the UN back in 2012. But the US, Europe, and others have preferred to go down the negotiations route. We saw that with the Iran nuclear deal, signed during Obama's presidency. Trump withdrew the US from that deal in his first term, but earlier this year, he started new talks with Iran as a way to avoid military action. And just a few days ago, he said this.
Look, I want to have an agreement with Iran. As long as I think there is an agreement, I don't want them going in because I think that would blow it. Might help it, actually, but it also could blow it.
Which gets us to the second reason why this is such a big deal. There are questions about how much the US, Israel's biggest ally, was or wasn't involved in the decision to go ahead with the strikes. The US's Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Israel took unilateral action, i.e. it acted alone, and that the US is not involved in Israel's strikes against Iran. So it looks like the US could be trying to distance itself a bit from Israel on this. And keep in mind that the 6th round of US-Iran nuclear talks was scheduled for Sunday. Trump says Israel did tell the US beforehand that it was going to do this. And in the last few days, some US embassy staff were being evacuated from the region. But still, exactly how the discussions between Israel and the US went down in the lead up to Israel strikes isn't very clear, nor is Trump's position towards Iran right now. In this post, reacting to Israel strikes, Trump says he told Iran to make a deal, but they just couldn't get it done. In the same post, he also called for more diplomacy, saying Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left. Now, the third reason why this move by Israel is such a big deal is because of what Iran's potential response could be. Right away, Iran launched about 100 drones towards Israel, though many were intercepted. And Iran's supreme leader has warned Israel to expect severe punishment. A big question is whether US military bases in the region could also be targeted. And there are a lot of them, including in Gulf countries like Kuwait, Qatar, and the UAE. On Wednesday, Iran's defense minister said, if a conflict is imposed on us, all US bases are within our reach, and we will boldly target them in host countries. That scenario would mean direct conflict between Iran and the US on another country's territory. So we'd be looking at all sorts of serious ripple effects across the region.
Let's talk about Israel and Iran, how we got here and why and who this is really for. In 2015, Iran signed an agreement called the JCPOA. They signed that deal with the US, the EU, China, and Russia. The deal basically limited Iran's ability to possess a nuclear weapon, and it put restrictions on the enrichment of uranium. It allowed for constant inspections by a UN body, and it also gave Iran relief for any sanctions that were placed on them. The enrichment of uranium was capped at 3.67%. What is enrichment of uranium? Well, in order for a nuclear bomb to be made, the enrichment of uranium needs to be at 90%. Currently, Iran has about 400 kilograms of uranium enriched at 60%, and Iran has confirmed this, meaning that if they wanted to, in a few weeks they could enrich that uranium further to 90% and create a nuclear bomb. But back to the deal signed in 2015, Barack Obama orchestrated it, and it was never meant to be a final deal with Iran. Obama's position at the time was that it was better to do diplomacy with Iran without nuclear bombs on the table. And in return, with the sanctions lifted, Iran's economy would be able to grow and benefit their people. But a key part I want you to remember is that Iran is under an extremely oppressive authoritarian regime. But back to 2015, which also happened to be the time that Donald Trump was running for president. And at the time, Donald Trump said that this was a bad deal for America, and he campaigned on that a lot. And he promised that should he become president, he would squash the deal, and through economic pressure, he would get a better deal with Iran. Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's prime minister, was also vehemently against this agreement back in 2015. And the reason was because if Iran had sanctions lifted, Israel would no longer be the dominant economy in the Middle East. And it meant that Israel would have to work with Iran rather than isolate them. Donald Trump became president in 2016, and in 2018, he lived up to his campaign promise and he withdrew the U.S. from the agreement. To be clear, Iran had 100% abided by the agreement up until the U.S. pulled out. And within 1 year, Iran began enriching uranium to higher levels. Trump put restrictions and sanctions on Iran to try and force them into a better deal with the United States, but they wouldn't, and in turn, their economy crashed. It caused extreme hardship and poverty throughout Iran on a population that was already under an extremely authoritarian regime. But here's the thing, when the economy crashed in Iran, it started a movement, especially of women and younger generations. They started resisting the regime that was oppressing them and isolating them from the world. And with a crashing economy and poverty at an all-time high, they've been able to gain a massive amount of support. And many believe there are insiders within the regime that are getting ready to overthrow their dictator. There's one poll conducted in early 2024 that surveyed 50,000 people living within Iran secretly, and it found that over 75% of the population, if given the opportunity, would vote against the Islamic Republic. And it found that less than 15% currently support the regime. So why does all this matter? Well, Israel knows that if the people in Iran were to overthrow their dictatorship, there is a possibility that a democratically elected leader could come in and potentially get sanctions lifted on Iran and open them up to the rest of the world. And this would, again, challenge Israel's dominance in the Middle East. Israel's position is that their military operations within Iran could further help the people overthrow their government. But here's the thing, it could actually do the opposite. There is no doubt that Israel's military operations will cause massive civilian casualties within Iran, and it will allow the regime to try and convince the population that they are the only ones who can protect them. It could cause a rallying around the flag effect. And it will also give the regime the ability to force strict crackdowns citing national security. It will give them more power to silence anybody who voices their dissent to them. So why is Israel doing this? Is it the fear of nuclear bombs? Well, maybe. The truth is, Benjamin Netanyahu is becoming extremely unpopular within Israel and especially around the world. He knew that Iran would retaliate the way they did and it would cause civilian casualties, and he is trying to gain sympathy from his own people and around the world. He's trying to change the narrative around again to make people believe that he is the peacekeeper in the Middle East. Today, Israel killed 15 Palestinians trying to get access to humanitarian aid, and yesterday they killed 53. He's hoping that people will turn a blind eye to what Israel is doing in Gaza. The people of Iran are going to be further oppressed with a broken economy and bombs raining down on them. And Benjamin Netanyahu is going to try and improve his popularity in Israel. And you know, Donald Trump, he's just the deal maker in chief. This is just how you get a good deal. Benjamin Netanyahu is a wanted war criminal, and I don't trust a thing that him or Donald Trump says. Meanwhile, I can tell you from a Canadian perspective that I'm sure is shared in America and throughout Europe, if any of our tax dollars go to Israel and the mess that they've created, there is going to be a large uprising of dissent because people are not interested in supporting Israel.
Okay, so boom. So America might be getting ready to go to war because Iran just pulled up and said, America, fuck you, and get up out our business. Because if you pull up over here and you think you want some smoke, it's up and it's stuck. So you better be ready for this shit. So now, long story cliff noted, and as far as I know, Iran and Izzy been beefing back and forth for a minute. At one point in the game, they was cool, but then Iran had a switching regime, and when the regime switched, they was like, you know what, Israel, actually, we really don't fuck with you for real. We don't fuck with you at all, and we don't think you should exist. So that's been a little beef, right? Mind you, Iran and Israel got the two best militaries out in the Middle East. So now, fast all the way forward, what heated the smoke up recently is that, you know, Iran is the plug for Hamas and Hezbollah and all them, right? And you know, they've been going back and forth for Israel. So fast all the way forward again, over the last couple of days, Iran and Israel been spinning the block on each other, like literally throwing bombs and shit. So now the situation done got out of hand because Iran is like, Israel, bitch, we sick of your shit. So at this point in the game, if we finna run this fade, it is what it is. Go crazy. And Israel is like, Iran, fuck you. Matter of fact, hooty-hoo. Now here come America. So now our president done left his meeting early the other day because he like, oh, what the fuck? Now this the thing though. Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, he a killer for real. He really about that life, okay? He was in the Israeli army back in his day, him and his brothers. They done been on missions together and stuff. So he really about it. He with it. He like, I'm on whatever. And I'm gonna do whatever I gotta do to hold it down over here on my set. Meanwhile, our president, he ain't really like that for real. He ain't built like that. It ain't on him. It ain't in him, okay? He wasn't in no army. He dodged the draft. You feel me? So he not no unaliver for real. Now, he might have you murked. Let me be clear. He might get you murked, but he ain't really no unaliver for real. So he out here tweeting like, all right, Iran, keep playing. We on you. We on your head. We on your leader. We on you tough. Don't make me bust this move. But Iran's response is kind of like, bitch, you pump faking. Like, you're not finna move nothing for real. So peep this. Iran and Trump been beefing since Trump was 45. So back in the day, Obama had orchestrated this deal between America and Iran. Basically like, hey, check this out, Iran. You're going to be cool on the nukes. You're going to be cool on building the nukes and having nukes and letting them off and stuff like that. We'll be cool on the sanctions, right? That's how we're going to work this out, because we can't have you out here wilding like that. It could get too dangerous, you feel me? And so on the one hand, people was like, that deal is some bullshit. Like, what the fuck? And really, it's the Republicans who felt that way. But they was like, that deal is some bullshit. And on the other hand, Obama and them other people was like, that was the best we could do. It was that or nothing. Like, we cannot just have them loose out here. Now, it's some flaws. It's real flaw. But it's a start. It's gonna get us somewhere. So when 45 pulled up, he was like, I don't like it. I don't like the deal. It's some bullshit. I don't want nothing to do with it. We finna get rid of it. Even though it was countries like Germany and France and stuff, because they all part of it too, who was like, we probably should keep this deal. Like, we ain't really got nothing better right now. And Trump was like, it ain't holding them to nothing, so I'm not fucking with it. I'm not finna stay in it. You know he do whatever he want to do anyway. But now Iran is like, okay, America, if you gonna get in it. But if not, shut up and mind your business. Let us run this fade. Let your friend fight they fade. But if you want some, we got some for you. So now we're trying to figure out what's finna happen, because on the one hand, it's a lot of people in Trump camp who is like, don't do this. This ain't what we rocking with. We not cool with this one right here. Like, you might want to rethink how much assistance you provide to our homies over in Israel, right? On the other hand, of course, some people like, bust a move, let's get with it. So apparently the Trump administration and the MAGA, all them, they trying to figure that part out right now. So we gonna see what's gonna happen. But Ted Cruz had went on the Tucker Carlson show the other day, and he talking about we finna help. And Tucker was like, what you mean? Is we going to where? What is we doing? Like, as then Ted was like, well, America, we finna help. We finna help Israel out. What is we finna do?
They know Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. That's the only reason they're comfortable attacking them. Because they know Iran cannot attack back with nuclear weaponry. And they arrogantly thought their Iron Dome was going to protect them. But it literally collapsed within 24 hours. A lot of people may have seen earlier videos where a whole bunch of Iran's weapons were being intercepted by the Iron Dome. The Iron Dome, by the way, actually shoots a missile up to intercept and blow up other missiles. But what they didn't get is that Iran was intentionally sending old missiles to wear out, to use up the defense. And once they felt like they had sufficiently worn down the defenses of the Iron Dome, then they started unleashing the heavy duty stuff. And Iran has hypersonic missiles. And I don't know if you've seen one of those on video. It is insane how fast they come in. You're not getting out of the way of a hypersonic missile. You may be able to see some other type of missile up in the air heading your way. You run for the hills. You're not running from a hypersonic missile. As fast as you see it, it's there. It travels faster than the speed of sound. So it hits you before you even hear it coming. They've also unleashed a new type of weaponry that we've never even seen before. Hey Siri, how many missiles does Iran have? It's gonna be in the thousands. 3,000 ballistic missiles. They're gonna level Israel like a parking lot. Our president is now dragging us into a war. And how did he drag us into it? Well, he took Iran out of the nuclear disarmament agreement. He put sanctions back against them. So he let the cow out of the barn. The cow's now been free for 7 years. It's not going back in the barn. And now Israel, right next door, is worried that Iran is going to have nuclear weapons any day. For what it's worth, Israel's been saying for 20 years that Iran, any day, is going to have nuclear weapons. Israel is claiming that this is a preemptive strike. A preemptive strike is just an attack. And we are going to be dragged into this because they have started a fight they cannot win. They know Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon. That's the only reason they're comfortable attacking them. Last night, he tweeted all over the place that everybody in Tehran needed to evacuate immediately because there was going to be a massive loss of life. What a terrible shame, because he warned Iran that they should have signed the pact with him. What does that sound like? That sounds like a direct threat. Donald Trump was elected telling his base that he was going to get us out of these wars, out of the Ukraine war, out of the Gaza war. Instead, those wars are much worse, and he has dragged us directly into it.
We have some big news about Iran this morning. Donald Trump's patience is wearing thinner and thinner with each passing minute as we move towards a possible United States involvement in the conflict. Overnight, an Iranian missile struck a hospital in southern Israel. In response, Israel has said that it will be intensifying strikes on Iranian facilities across the country, specifically potentially targeting Iran's supreme leader. Meanwhile, Iran has been under a near complete and total internet blackout for the past 24 hours or so. The internet blackout was imposed by the Iranian government. It's the longest the internet has been out since 2019. Meanwhile, about signs that Iran may strike U.S. military bases overnight, U.S. forces have been restricted from accessing an airbase in Qatar. That is one of the potential targets for Iran if the United States were to join the strike. It's going to be
Israel is getting exactly what it deserves right now. The punishment that's being enacted by Iran has been long overdue. Netanyahu and his warmongers, once they see that they can't face a nation of 90 million people and they lose this war, the whole world ain't gonna help them. And we as Americans cannot help them in this. We cannot send our young men to die for Israel against Iran at no cost.
Killing civilians in the name of defense is never justifiable. The Iran nuclear deal was a step in the right direction, and leaving it was a disaster. We can support Israel's right to exist and still demand they stop the policies that escalates tensions and harm Palestinian people. Supporting peace doesn't make you anti-Israel or pro-Iran. It makes you pro-humanity. But anyways, these are just my opinion, and I would like to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one. Bye.